In March 2026, a 8-hour video clip that Justin Timberlake reportedly spent millions trying to bury was finally released to the public, raising an unsettling question. Could the footage that seemed to destroy his image have actually been a silent request for help? As the internet laughed at memes of a disoriented celebrity, a darker truth was developing away from the spotlight. This situation forces everyone to think about whether there is more beneath the surface, or if the world is watching a final, sad farewell. Consider spending more than 30 years creating a persona built on self-assurance, real skill, and absolute command, only to have everything threatened in one unforgettable evening by a policeman's body camera. For Justin Timberlake, that device recorded 8 hours of video he wished would never be seen. By March 2026, the legal fight over this material had grown completely out of hand. Most people believe the issue ended in 2024 when Timberlake paid his penalty and continued with his life. However, his legal team had been quietly challenging the case in New York for nearly 2 years. The dispute was not simply about money or jail time. It was a struggle for his self-respect. His lawyers argued that releasing the full, unchanged video would severely damage Timberlake's privacy, cause permanent harm to his reputation, and expose him to public shame and torment. They claimed the footage showed him in an extremely weak state, very different from the assured superstar everyone recognized. The defense insisted that because Timberlake had already finished his community service and paid what he owed, the public had no right to see his lowest point. Nevertheless, the courts in early 2026 viewed the matter differently. Judges noted that once someone is arrested in a public area, the records of that arrest belong to the people. Openness is a key part of the American legal system, and the law applies equally to everyone. Therefore, the final decision required the release of the tapes. The tension before the release was heavy. Everyone wanted to know what could have happened during those 8 hours that was so harmful. Was he crying? Angry? Did he say things that would make his supporters turn away? This stood out because it was unlike the typical celebrity apology. Usually, stars quickly share their perspective, but Timberlake did the opposite. He attempted to hide the story so deeply that nobody could ever find it. This legal approach completely failed. By trying so hard to conceal the video, his team only made everyone much more curious, putting a huge focus on the one night he wanted to forget. To understand why this video was so dangerous for his legacy, we need to go back to that rainy night in the Hamptons where everything started to fall apart. The evening of June 17, 2024, began normally for a wealthy pop star in that exclusive area. Timberlake was spending time with friends at the American Hotel in Sag Harbor, a fashionable place where people come to be noticed, but still expect privacy. He was enjoying a major career upswing, with a new album released and a busy tour schedule ahead. Feeling self-assured, he probably thought his short drive home in his gray BMW would be just another routine trip. But around 12:37 a.m., a young police officer saw the luxury car drifting on the road. The BMW failed to halt at a stop sign and started moving into the opposite lane. The officer turned on his red and blue lights, making Timberlake pull over. Though most people would instantly recognize Justin Timberlake, his face had been everywhere for decades. This young officer did not. To him, the person behind the wheel was simply another driver who smelled of alcohol and had red, glossy eyes. The conversation that followed is now permanently part of pop culture history. When the officer began the traffic stop, Timberlake became clearly nervous. He looked at the officer and said, "This is going to ruin the tour." Truly confused, the officer asked, "What tour?" Timberlake's reply was barely heard, "The world tour." The difference was sharp. One man was thinking about worldwide stadium dates and millions of dollars in ticket sales, while the other was just trying to keep Sag Harbor Street safe. Timberlake then claimed he had drunk only one martini before driving, telling the officers he was simply following his friends home. Despite his statements, the officer asked him to get out of the car for a field sobriety test. On that dark stretch of road, the so-called president of pop found it hard to walk in a straight line. He staggered during the walk-and-turn test and could not keep his balance. When told to stand on one leg and count aloud, he could not hold his posture steady. The officers then asked him to take a breathalyzer test, which Timberlake refused 3 times. In New York State, refusing that test results in an automatic license suspension, but Timberlake seemed more worried about how it would appear. He was handcuffed and brought to the station. By sunrise, his mugshot had become one of the most famous photos worldwide during that time. He looked tired and wide-eyed. Just like that, the smooth, flawless image he had built over 30 years disappeared in one night. In September 2024, the bright stage lights changed for the glow of fluorescent bulbs as Timberlake stood before a judge to face the results of his actions. His lead attorney, Edward Burke Jr., had spent months fighting the original misdemeanor charge of driving while drunk. The case was serious because a criminal record could have greatly affected Timberlake's ability to travel for his world tour. After tough discussions, his team secured a plea deal that reduced the charge to a non-criminal traffic violation called driving while ability impaired. Timberlake's sentence mixed the usual penalties with a twist only a celebrity might receive. He was given a $500 fine and a $260 surcharge, plus a 90-day suspension of his New York driver's license. However, the judge felt the original deal was too light, so she added an extra 25 hours of community service. The most discussed part? Timberlake was ordered to create a public safety announcement. He had to use his huge platform to warn the world about the dangers of driving after even just one drink. It was a sentence meant to highlight the risks of driving under the influence for both him and everyone watching. Outside the courthouse that day, Timberlake met that requirement. He stood before a group of reporters and openly admitted his mistake, encouraging everyone to use a rideshare app or call a friend instead of driving after drinking. It was a classic example of celebrity damage control. For a while it seemed to work. The headlines moved on, and his fans started focusing on his music again. But as the world watched him leave that courthouse, nobody realized that his reaction during the sobriety test was not only from the martini. The plan to just move forward was not going to happen as expected. Although the criminal case was technically closed, the real unraveling was only starting. Before the truth could come out, Timberlake had to face a world that had stopped cheering and begun something else entirely. Timberlake's latest tour, named the Forget Tomorrow World Tour, could not have been more ironic. No matter how much he wanted to leave the past behind, the world would not let him forget it. The tour originally began in Vancouver on April 29, 2024, and ran through July 2025, covering over 100 shows worldwide and selling more than 1 million tickets, making it a financial success on paper. Despite this financial achievement, things were very different in reality. The tour became a meeting point where Timberlake's 30 years of carefully built image clashed with the harsh truths of today's digital age. For the first time in his career, the president of pop was met with critics and viewers alike calling his new era nothing short of cringe. To truly grasp how damaging this was, you must compare the 2026 version of Justin Timberlake to the sexy back era of 2006. 20 years ago, he was the definite model for the modern male pop star. His high-energy performances were exciting and widely loved. But moving forward to the age of memes and viral social media, that same style now feels very different. While many longtime fans at his shows welcomed the nostalgia and supported him, clips from the tour started spreading online with a mocking, sometimes cruel tone. Younger audiences who had not grown up during his 2006 peak did not see a legend. They saw a 45-year-old man trying to keep up with the quick dance moves of his youth. The mockery was not only online, it started to affect his actual performances. Long before anyone even saw the police body cam footage, the media had already revealed every detail of that rainy night in Sag Harbor. Within days of the 2024 arrest, the exact words from the traffic stop became public, including his claim of having only one martini and the officer's blunt dismissal. These 3 phrases, one martini, ruined the tour, and what tour, became the basis of worldwide mockery that followed Timberlake on every stage for 2 years. By 2025, social media was filled with front-row POV videos capturing teenagers' muffled laughter during his signature dance breaks. In some of the most popular clips, the audience shouted at him with his own mistakes, yelling "one martini" or sarcastically asking "what tour," even during his emotional ballads. It was a harsh reality for an artist who once seemed untouchable. He was trapped in a cycle, performing for an audience that was busy analyzing his every move and recording the next stiff movement to turn into a viral joke. But what the people did not realize was that the stiffness was not from a lack of ability. It was his body literally failing in real time. The arrest reopened old wounds from past public scandals that had already shaken their trust. Years ago, photos appeared of Timberlake holding hands with a co-star in New Orleans. He apologized publicly, saying it was a lapse in judgment after drinking too much. For Jessica, the 2024 arrest felt like déjà vu. It was not just about a traffic stop. It pointed to a pattern of behavior that seemed to ignore the impact on their family. The incident had already shaken her trust. Insiders now described their relationship as strained. Jessica is reportedly standing by him, but her support comes with a price. To save the marriage, Timberlake has agreed to a new set of strict rules. She now has total transparency when it comes to his life, meaning full access to his phone and his social media accounts at any time. The days of unsupervised boys' nights in the Hamptons are reportedly over. If Justin is out, he is expected to be in constant communication. These non-negotiable boundaries were built on past lapses in judgment and are meant to protect her own image and the safety of their children. She has publicly described their marriage as a work in progress, which is a polite way of acknowledging the ups and downs they have faced. Friends have even called this a divorce intervention. They worry the couple is stuck in an emotional limbo, where they stay together for the sake of their 2 sons and their public image, while the foundation of trust is being replaced by a system of constant watching. Ironically, it was Timberlake's battle with Lyme disease that finally forced the party lifestyle change Jessica had wanted for years. Since his 2025 diagnosis, the party lifestyle became physically impossible for him to maintain. The illness forced him to slow down and prioritize his home life because he simply did not have the energy for anything else. The pressure on Timberlake could not be more intense. He is fighting not just for his health, but to prove to his family that he can be the man they need. This is a great deal for anyone to carry: declining health and a marriage held together by strict rules. The pressure must be overwhelming, and his final move was a desperate battle in court to try to take back control before everything fell apart. In early March 2026, before things took a turn for the worse, Timberlake's legal team fought hard to keep the video private. On March 5th, they won a temporary restraining order that paused its release. For a brief moment, it looked like he might be able to protect his privacy after all. But even for a star, there are limits when it comes to public records. Eventually, the legal battle was lost, and the footage was set to be released. A settlement was reached, and a redacted version of the video was given to the media, meaning some parts were blurred or removed to protect certain details. The footage proved much more damaging than the original police reports. Seeing a global icon struggle with simple balance tests while telling an unimpressed officer, "I am Justin Timberlake," was an image no PR team could fix, even to this day. Although he avoided getting a criminal record, he lost the cultural war in 2026 when he lost control of his own story. As the court cases finally ended, a new question arose. Could the pop star survive the age of the meme? There is a human side to this struggle that often gets lost beneath the jokes and viral clips. As part of his 2024 sentence, Timberlake was required to complete 25 hours of community service, a task he took seriously. Throughout 2025, he dedicated himself to working with nonprofits focused on music education and local outreach, quietly giving back to society. Those who worked closely with him described him as humble, hardworking, and thoughtful, not what the world would expect from the high-energy performer. This was his attempt at redemption, a way to rebuild in the shadows. But even his good deeds were a struggle as his health worsened. When he revealed in July 2025 that he had been battling Lyme disease, as expected, the story shifted dramatically, offering a new perspective on the challenges he faced. Suddenly, those stiff and labored moves that people had been mocking on TikTok took on a whole new meaning. This new understanding pushed Timberlake into a rebranding phase unlike anything he had faced before. He has started stepping back from the spotlight, choosing a quieter family life and focusing more on studio work and voice acting, such as his role in the Trolls franchise. This change has helped him manage his tiredness and avoid the constant pressure that comes with live performances. It is a way for him to take a break, reset, and find balance away from the public while still staying involved in his career. Justin Timberlake has accumulated a net worth of around $250 million. This wealth comes not only from his past hits, but also from smart investments and the strong income he earns from touring. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour, despite the challenging circumstances, proved to be Timberlake's most successful financial venture. Selling over 1 million tickets, the tour was expected to bring in more than $140 million across 70 shows worldwide. The numbers show his popularity in different regions. The North American leg alone made almost $50 million, and his record-breaking concert at Baku Olympic Stadium in July 2025 attracted 52,000 fans. Even after personal scandals, Timberlake remains a major moneymaker, with his Kansas City show at the T-Mobile Center becoming the highest-grossing event ever held there. At home, he is working to rebuild trust. His wife, Jessica, has adjusted from being merely a supportive spouse to becoming a dedicated medical advocate. She has always been passionate about wellness. She is playing a key role in Timberlake's recovery by researching holistic treatments to help him deal with the brain fog and chronic nerve pain that affected his 2025 tour. They have turned their home into a healing fortress. For their two sons, Silas and Phineas, this peaceful and remote environment has offered a sense of normalcy, protecting them from the negative attention surrounding their father. This space has allowed the family to focus on healing and growth away from the public eye. He is also staying in more to avoid the stress of public scrutiny. His goodbye forever is not about giving up his talent, but about letting go of the part of him that did not fully understand what real struggles feel like. Given what is now known about his struggle with Lyme disease, does the Sag Harbor footage reveal a reckless superstar or a man physically unraveling? And does his Lyme disease diagnosis serve as a valid explanation for his performance on the sobriety test? Viewers are invited to share their thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, click on the next video on your screen. And do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries.